You're watching South Asian Newsline, and here are the top stories we are tracking for you on Wednesday, the 13th of March. Sporadic protests in India over implementation of citizenship law. Pakistan must be dismantled. Baloch activists raise slogans at UNHRC in Geneva. And Nepal's PM Dahal wins confidence vote for third time after resuming office. And now for all the details. Days after India implemented Citizenship Amendment Act, sporadic protests have continued across the country against the law. PM Modi's ruling BJP government framed rules to implement the act, making it easy for non-Muslim refugees from Pakistan, Bangladesh and Afghanistan to get Indian citizenship. Right activists and Muslim groups say the law, combined with the proposed National Register for Citizens, can discriminate against India's 200 million Muslims. Some fear the government might remove the citizenship of Muslims without documents in some border states.
ये फ्यूचर में सब तमाशे करना चाहते हैं। अगर मेरे ही देश में मैं स्टेटलेस बन जाऊंगा महज इस बुनियाद पर कि मेरे दादा का बर्थ सर्टिफिकेट मेरे पास नहीं है, तो फिर क्या मैसेज दे रहे हैं आप? आपका यही मकसद है। और बुनियादी फंडामेंटल बात यह है कि आप मजहब की बुनियाद पर कानून नहीं बना सकते।
The government has, however, denied the accusation of the law being anti-Muslim and says the law is needed to help minorities facing persecution in Muslim-majority nations. It says the law is meant to grant citizenship, not take it away from anyone, and has called the protests politically motivated and due to misconceptions that have been spread.
इस शरणार्थियों को सम्मानजनक जीवन देने का काम किया है। उनकी संस्कृति, उनकी भाषा, उनका धर्म, उनके परिवार की महिलाओं का सम्मान, उसका रक्षा करने का काम किया है। और आज से कल से इस देश में आया हुआ हर एक शरणार्थी मेरे और आपके जितना ही अधिकारी है इस देश पर। ये अधिकार हमने इनको दिया।
And Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Wednesday virtually launched 3 semiconductor facilities which are set to be developed in western Gujarat and northeastern Assam states. The projects worth 1.26 trillion rupees are aimed at designing, developing and commercially producing chips in India to make it the next powerhouse of electronic manufacturing. The government has provided incentives and introduced schemes to promote the production of information technology hardware and further elevate the electronic ecosystem of India, PM Modi said. Make in India and self-reliance have been key points in Modi's election manifesto for the last 2 terms. The launch of semiconductor projects come days before the announcement of national elections.
हमने 2 साल पहले सेमीकंडक्टर मिशन शुरू करते हुए इनिशिएटिव लेने की घोषणा की। इसके कुछ ही महीनों में हमारे पहले एमओयू साइन हो गए और आज सिर्फ कुछ महीनों के भीतर हम 3 प्रोजेक्ट्स का शिलान्यास कर रहे हैं।
Moving on, a massive protest was held by activists on the sidelines of UNHRC session in Geneva on Tuesday to highlight Pakistani atrocities in Balochistan. A report.
Several activists took part in an anti-Pakistan protest organized by the Baloch Human Rights Council in Geneva this week to highlight Pakistani atrocities in Balochistan and seek global intervention. The activists raised concern that Baloch people have been targets of so-called military operations and enforced disappearances by the Pakistani state and its army over the years, while it continues to exploit their natural resources.
We want the Pakistan army to be out of Balochistan. Pakistan army is looting and plundering our wealth. Our people are suffering. We want that Pakistan must be dismantled.
Sadly, this problem is going to continue unless somebody sitting in Islamabad decides to solve this politically and reach out to people. They keep putting governments in provincial governments that are unkind, and in that way this problem is going to continue. It's going to simmer. It's not going to bring peace either to Balochistan or to Pakistan.
Activists allege that Pakistan repeatedly carries out such atrocities to instill fear and exert control over the Baloch people, who have been demanding independence from its occupation.
Meanwhile, Secretariat employees in POK held a protest to demand the promised increase in their salaries. They alleged discrimination and said they are also not being promoted to permanent positions.
Hundreds of Secretariat employees in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir held a massive protest recently against the government's discriminatory policies and demanded an increase in salaries. The protesters blamed Secretariat allowance in Pakistan has been increased from 50 to 100%, but still the employees in POK are being given a 50% allowance. They also accused they are not being promoted to permanent positions.
साथ को जोड़ जाड़ के उसने किचन एकदम उसकी जो 30-35 हज़ार की आमदन है उससे 15,000 रुपये आप निकाल लें और फिर वो मुझे बताएं वो किधर जाएगा। आज बिजली का बिल देना, गैस का बिल देना लोगों के लिए एक प्रॉब्लम मुश्किल बन चुकी है। पाकिस्तान में तो ये सूरत हाल बन चुकी है, लोगों ने अपने जेवर बेच के, अपने घर के बर्तन बेच के बिल उन्होंने अदा किए हैं और वही सूरत हाल आज़ाद कश्मीर में भी है।
This is not the first time. Government workers in POK have to often hit the streets to demand even their basic rights. They accuse the political leadership of Pakistan is least bothered about their issues.
Moving on, Nepal's Prime Minister Pushpa Kamal Dahal won a vote of confidence in the parliament on Wednesday, days after he revived the coalition with former ally CPN-UML. His old coalition partner Nepali Congress had pulled out of the government earlier this month after Dahal formed a new alliance, a move which caught the largest party in the parliament off guard. Prime Minister have to face confidence vote after any ally withdraws support. Dahal, who faced the floor test for the third time within 15 months, required to cross the threshold of 138 votes. He secured 157 votes in his favor. A natural buffer between Asian giants, China and India, Nepal has had 11 governments since it abolished its 239-year-old monarchy in 2008, which has failed to bring political stability and has been largely credited for a struggling economy and corruption. And days after Muhammad Yunus was released on bail by a Bangladeshi court, the United States has expressed fears that Bangladeshi laws may be misused to harass and intimidate the Nobel Prize laureate. In a press briefing, U.S. State Department spokesperson Matthew Miller said Washington is concerned about the case against Yunus. The only Nobel laureate of Bangladesh, Yunus has been accused of breaking labor regulations, a case his supporters have claimed is politically motivated. The statement from Washington comes amid the demand of legal actions against U.S. envoy to Dhaka, Peter Haas, by Bangladesh Anti-Corruption Commission. Haas, who had hosted the Nobel laureate after his release on bail, had termed the case against Yunus as representation of the misuse of Bangladesh labor laws. Praying and sharing food, people across South Asia observed the first day of Islamic holy month of Ramadan on Tuesday. Fasting Muslims in Bangladesh were seen buying assorted snacks from street markets and restaurants. Among those observing prayers, a local cab driver said he prayed for an end to the war in Gaza and for Palestinians to be able to observe Ramadan. Meanwhile, at the mosque outside the Dhaka High Court, volunteers divided plates as part of a free iftar program for people in need as part of a centuries-old tradition.
তিনি যখন ভাত খেতেন আজ থেকে 700 বছর আগে তখনই তিনি গরিবদের কিছু খাবার খাওয়াতেন তার সেই সময় থেকেই এই যে তবরক বিতরণ এবং খাওয়া দাওয়া সেই সময় থেকেই চলে আসছে আমরা সেটাই ধরে রাখছি মাত্র
Similar scenes were witnessed in Pakistan. Ramadan, the 9th and the holiest month in the Islamic calendar, is one of the 5 pillars of Islam. It is the time of the year when religious fervor is rekindled. It is a month of austerity and exercising self-restraint from dawn to sunset.
आज पहला रमज़ान है, रोल समोसे वगैरह यहाँ पे इनके बहुत ज़्यादा मशहूर हैं। दस्तरखान पे ये बहुत ज़रूरी कह लें कि एक एडिशन बन चुका है रमज़ान में, तो ये लेने आए हैं इंशाल्लाह और लेके जाते हैं, खाते हैं। पहला रमज़ान है, आपको पता है यार वैसे भी महंगाई बहुत ज़्यादा हो गया, बट ये है कि वीक में 1-2 दफ़ा तो हमें भी तो जायका चखना चाहिए ना, ट्राई मारनी चाहिए।
That's all in tonight's edition.